Okay, it's Xavier Echeverria, the repairer of the breach, the restorer, paths to follow of God's moral laws, 10 commandments, God's law of love, written with the finger of God in Exodus 31:18 or Deuteronomy 9:10. Your first 4 commandments are your love for God. Your next 6 commandments are your love for one another. Okay, today we're going to be going over what the contrast is between God's moral law, his 10 commandments, and the ceremonial law, the sacrificial system of sacrificing animals. And then between God's moral law and the ceremonial law. Let's see what was done away with at the cross. Okay, here we go. I got it written down ahead of time because it's a lot to write down. The contrast between the moral law, the 10 commandments, and the ceremonial law, the sacrificing of animals. Here we go. If you have a pen or pencil or your notepad, you want to write this stuff down. Okay, here we go. Number 1, God's moral law, the 10 commandments, was written on stone in Exodus 24:12, Exodus 31:18, or Deuteronomy 9:10. The ceremonial law, the animal sacrifices, was written in a book by Moses in 2 Chronicles 35:12. Number 2, the moral law was spoken by God in Deuteronomy chapter 4, verses 12 and 13, and the ceremonial law was spoken by Moses in Leviticus 1:1-3. The moral law, the 10 commandments, stand forever in Psalms 111, verses 7 and 8, and the ceremonial law was nailed to the cross. The ceremonial law, the animal sacrifices, was nailed to the cross, and that's in Colossians chapter 2, verses 14 through 17. The moral law, the 10 commandments, gives us the knowledge of sin. Romans 3:20, Romans 7:7. The ceremonial law was given to us because of sin. Galatians 3:19. The moral law, the 10 commandments, was called the royal law of liberty. James 2:8-12. And the ceremonial law was contained in ordinances. Ephesians 2:15. The moral law, the 10 commandments, judges all man. James chapter 2, verses 10-12. And the ceremonial law does not judge any man, judges no man. Colossians 2:14-17. The moral law, the 10 commandments, was put inside of the Ark of the Covenant. Hebrews 9:4, Exodus 40, verse 20. And the ceremonial law was put on the side of the Ark of the Covenant. Deuteronomy chapter 31, verses 24-26. The moral law, the 10 commandments, is not grievous towards us. 1 John 5:3. The ceremonial law, the animal sacrificial system, is contrary to us. Colossians 2:14-17. The moral law, the 10 commandments, is spiritual. Romans 7:14. And the ceremonial law was carnal. It was worldly. And that's in Deuteronomy chapter 9, verse 10. That's the contrast between the two, between the moral law, the 10 commandments, God's law of love, and the ceremonial law. The animal sacrificing system was done away with at the cross. For those of you guys that think the 10 commandments were done away with, it's totally wrong. They're always with us today, because if you claim that the 10 commandments are done away with, that means you're going to lie to your neighbor, you're going to steal from them, you're going to murder, you're going to covet, and you're going to commit adultery, and you're going to dishonor your parents. And we don't want that. That's why we want to obey the 10 commandments. And you want to make sure you're worshiping the true God. The first one, have no other gods before me, no graven images, not taking his name in vain, God's name in vain, and remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. That's why We want to keep all of them. That way you have a relationship with God and your relationship with one another. All right, that's it for the 10 Commandments, or the ceremonial law, and the 10 Commandments. It's Xavier Echeverria. I am the repairer of the breach.